So I know this can be, probably where your bread and butter is. I don't know. I'm just taking a guess, but I mean, I can see that companies by and large are going to have problems with hiring and firing employees. So, what would you say to companies that are facing that now or potentially going to have that problem?
Yeah, first off, I'd say I'm sorry it's happening because it's not fun for anybody,
Right.
but most people will go through this. And it's usually because of poor practices, poor documentation, not understanding what the rules are for small businesses. And I get it. You're trying to focus on building this cool thing. Everyone's excited about it. Everyone seems to be aligned. But once there's a shift and there's a misalignment, it
Mhm.
causes drama, as I would call it. And drama doesn't help the business. Drama doesn't help
Nope.
any of the individuals, but everyone feels highly emotional about their position within that drama. And employment's just tough. I think that the market right now for employees and employers is pretty dynamic too, just given
Mhm.
some of the work from home or
Yeah, very
quiet
much.
quitting or whatever we're calling it today, right?
Hmm.
There's entitlement, whatever, right? There's just a lot of different expectations as to what working means.
Yeah.
And so I think this is a really easy thing to solve and even to avoid. Well, it's a lot easier to avoid it than to solve it. I should clarify that. Because if you have the right documents in place, you're going to minimize the amount of drama that happens because the documents, as dumb as or as simple as it might sound, the documents set the expectations for everybody.
Yeah.
And when you have the documents, the state labor departments, you can show them you've got the documents. You can show them that you complied with the rules, and they're not going to hassle you. They're going to be like, well, you had your employee sign this document or provide these, or you have an employee handbook and it clearly states these things.
Hmm.
Now maybe they didn't read it or whatever, but like it's all there, and so you can rely on that. So whether if you're a startup, I would say you either want to talk to an attorney up front, just be like, hey, can you give me some simple template onboarding documents and maybe a little flow chart. What do I do with every employee that I hire?
Hmm.
Because if you follow that, you're going to avoid a ton of problems.
Yeah.
If the other option is to go to one of these, excuse me, HR/payroll type companies, right?
Hmm.
A lot of payroll companies will have an HR arm and they'll provide you a lot of documents.
Hmm.
Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not, but they have systems where you can actually, if you spend the time doing it, you can kind of navigate these problems and avoid a lot of them.
Yeah.
What people do instead of that, instead of getting their documents in place through an attorney or through an HR company, they're excited. They're like telling their buddy about something, and their buddy says, "Oh, I was actually looking for something to work on." They're like, "Oh, come work with me.
Yeah.
We'll just pay you as a contractor for now, and then, we'll bring you as an employee later." And
Hmm.
and they just kind of organically
Yeah.
build this team until there's drama, and then that's when we get called in, and they're like, "Hey, you know, it was really clear. We agreed up front on X, Y, Z." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you can't show that to anybody because it's not written down, right?"
Right.
And people remember things differently, and we know people hear things differently. What you said, you might have said exactly like you said, but that's not what was heard
Yeah.
because somebody was excited about getting a job and heard that you promised to give them equity in your company someday, and instead they ended up getting fired over something unrelated to their job. Like it just turns into different things.